Imagine, it's late at night. There's silence all around. People are sleeping peacefully. Suddenly, a light shines in the sky, brighter than the sun. At first, people thought it might be a factory fire. But within seconds, they realized that this light was no ordinary fire. This light was a man-made sun, the terrifying signal of a nuclear explosion. At that moment, the future of thousands of people began to change, and one of the most terrible accidents in history was born. If you walk down the streets of Pripyat, Ukraine, today, you will hear only the sound of broken glass under your feet. There are houses all around, there are schools, there are playgrounds, but there are no people. Once this city was full of life. In the evening, lights would shine in the windows, children would play in the courtyards. But in one night, this city turned into a ghost town. The question is, what happened that forced people to flee their homes? Chernobyl is an area located in the north of Ukraine, about 130 kilometers from the city of Kiev. During the Soviet Union, a huge nuclear power plant was built here. A modern city called Pripyat was built around this plant. At that time, this city was a symbol of development. People thought that nuclear power would bring security and prosperity to their lives. But history has proven how dangerous this power can be if it gets out of control. The Chernobyl nuclear power plant had 4 huge reactors. These reactors were used to generate electricity for millions of people. As clean and powerful as nuclear power seems from the outside, it is as complex and dangerous on the inside. A small mistake, a small negligence, this energy can turn into a source of destruction. There were some flaws in the design of the Chernobyl reactor that were not fully acknowledged at the time. On the night of April 26, a safety test was underway at reactor number 4. The purpose was to test how long the turbine could provide power on its own if the power went out. The test did not seem particularly dangerous, but the problem was in the way the test was conducted. One rule after another was broken. Important decisions were made in the absence of experienced experts, which made the situation even more risky. During the test, the reactor's power dropped abnormally. The operators panicked and tried to increase the power again, but they didn't realize that at this moment the reactor's behavior had become abnormal. The temperature started rising, pressure started building. Alarms were ringing in the control room, lights were flashing. Within seconds, the situation reached a point where no human could stop it. The first explosion occurred at 1:23 a.m. The second explosion immediately followed, blowing the reactor lid into the air. The sound of the explosion was heard several kilometers away. Radioactive material inside the reactor was released directly into the air. At this moment, Chernobyl is no longer just an accident. It has become a terrible chapter in human history. The first people to arrive on the scene after the explosion were local firefighters. They didn't know that the fire they were putting out was no ordinary fire. They didn't realize that an invisible enemy called radioactivity was slowly entering their bodies. Their bravery helped prevent a greater disaster that night, but it cost many lives. The next morning, the people of Pripyat were told they had to leave the city for a few hours. People didn't even have time to get their essentials. Many got on the bus with the doors open. They thought they would return in the evening, but that return never happened. An entire city is emptied in a few hours, and all the memories of people's lives are left behind. After the Chernobyl explosion, the radioactive smoke was not limited to Ukraine. Along with the wind, this smoke spread to various countries in Europe. Many countries later realized that the invisible cloud floating in their sky was radioactive. This accident proves that the effects of a nuclear disaster are not confined to the borders of any country. In the years following the accident, many people developed various diseases. The rate of thyroid cancer, especially among children, increased. Many families could not understand why their children were suddenly developing this disease. The effects of radiation appear gradually. It is a poison whose damage is not immediately apparent, but over time it causes terrible changes inside the body. After the accident, thousands of people were sent to clean up. They were told that this was their duty to the country. These people were called liquidators. They removed the debris, cleaned the radioactive soil. Many did not know how dangerous this work was for their bodies. Many liquidators suffered from serious illnesses in the following years. Many died at a young age. After the explosion, a huge concrete structure, called a sarcophagus, was built to cover the reactor. Its purpose was to prevent the radioactive material inside from spreading outside. Later, a more modern structure was built, called the new safe confinement. This huge metal structure was placed over the ruins of Chernobyl to prevent another major disaster from happening in the future. Nature has slowly reclaimed its place in Chernobyl since humans left. Trees have grown in the gaps between abandoned buildings. Wildlife has returned. Wolves, deer, and various birds now roam the area. On the one hand, this scene is hopeful, but on the other hand, it reminds us how quickly nature can recover in the absence of humans. Chernobyl teaches us a hard lesson. No matter how powerful technology is, human negligence and arrogance can turn it into a weapon of destruction. This accident is not just the history of Ukraine or the Soviet Union, it is a warning to all of humanity. Today, as we become more and more dependent on modern technology, Chernobyl reminds us, no power is safe without safety and responsibility.